and welcome to Viewpoint. I'm Rahim Rahimtullah. The prosecutor on the Russian-occupied Crimean Peninsula is threatening to ban the Mejlis, the self-governing body of the Crimean Tatars. It appears to be yet another repressive step taken by Russia against the minority group since the Kremlin seized the peninsula in March 2014. What can and should be done to improve the situation? Well, helping us answer that question is my guest today here in the Viewpoint studio, human rights activist at the Center for Civil Liberties, Polina Brodyk. Ms. Brodyk, many thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
As I've said, the Crimean Tatars facing yet what appears to be yet another repression. But I just wanted first, is there actually any legitimate grounds on the part of the occupying authorities for these actions against the Crimean Tatars? Because we had also recently some Crimean Tatars were arrested for being part of an Islamist group. I mean, is there really any extremism there? That's what the Russian authorities are accusing them of.
Well, you know, it's an interesting coincidence that a couple of weeks ago, the European Parliament reaffirmed the Ukrainian government's decision to make or acknowledge the Mejlis as a main executive body of the Crimean Tatar people. And so in this resolution, in the resolution of the European Parliament, it is acknowledged as the main body of these people. And just a couple of weeks after, the Russian government decides to say that it's extremist.
So this is then, do you think the Crimean Tatars getting caught up in again, this geopolitical struggle, like a wider struggle here? Russia is responding to the European Parliament and...
Yes, exactly. And what is more, well, as we know, Crimean Tatar people, they not only try to stay their independence and self-governance within the Crimean Peninsula, but they also try to force the Russian government, or not force, but to state that they have a right to be a people within Ukraine, within not only the peninsula, but within Ukraine, in its previous borders before the annexation.
How much do you think, on the part of the Crimean Tatars, their resistance to Russia's annexation, how much of this is linked to the history of the area? Because the Crimean Tatars were subject to deportations under Stalin in 1944. I presume memories of those events must be playing a strong role here in what's going on.
Well, these people still stick to the same line. They opposed the Soviet government. They oppose now the Russian government. So, of course, it's the same historical line.
What response do you think we can have to this? The current, actions to threaten to ban the Mejlis, but also in general, Russia's repression of the Crimean Tatars. What should Ukraine be doing, for example? Is there anything that they can really do that would really be effective?
Well, effective. First of all, of course, Ukraine will try to affect the situation by diplomatic means, but as we know, they're not really effective in the majority of the cases. And from my point of view, the best way is to get in cooperation with the European Union and the US in order to press the Russian government.
Why the Crimean Tatars particularly? Why have they been so targeted by Russia?
Well, as we know, Crimean people in general are repressed to some extent, those who try to express their opinion. And the Crimean Tatars, they are the voice, actually, of the opposition, of the Crimean opposition. And they're heard mostly abroad and within the peninsula. So that is why, I guess, they're the main target of the government, of the Russian government.
Do you think, is there really a chance, though, that they could actually destabilize the situation in the peninsula?
Well, the situation was destabilized previous fall when Crimea was deprived of the electricity. And of course, this problem destabilizes the situation.
Yeah. Do you agree with those sorts of actions? I mean, because obviously many Crimean Tatars feel frustrated and they're looking for ways to express their resistance to Russia. This blockade, this electricity blockade that you speak of, this was when some Crimean Tatar activists, along with, I believe, right-wing nationalist Ukrainians, yes, they stopped electricity flowing into Crimea from Ukraine. Do you agree with those sorts of actions? I mean, obviously, a lot of people suffer because of that.
Yeah. Well, I guess I'm not the one to judge them, because I live here and they live there, and they're in a very different situation there, and it's up to them to decide how to react. But I wouldn't say that I approve of those movements. Probably there are some other cases to affect the situation, but it was done.
Do you think for the Crimean Tatars, simply leaving the peninsula, is that an option? Many have done that. But
leaving the peninsula, probably not. It's their historical territory, and it's a matter of, I don't know, it's their identification, self-identification to stay at that particular place. I don't think it's an option for them. Only if they're threatened with persecution, for instance. That would be the only case, I guess, for them.
You mean actual sort of physical violence and that sort of thing?
Yes, of course. Yeah.
And so what is the way forward now for them? And do they simply have to try to live on the peninsula as best they can? I mean, there seem to be risks involved with actually organizing themselves and having a political voice. How is it best for them to approach this situation? I mean, is it that they should just look to external sources like the international community for support? Is that?
I guess this is the best option to ask the international community to help them in this situation, because they're left, alone there, and there are no other powers or sources of help within the peninsula or within the federation. So probably this is the best case. But they're not the only targets. There are risks for other people who can help them, or, banning the organization or calling it extremists means that even the official symbols of the organization can be admitted as extremist. And what I mean by that is the fact that the flag of the organization is the same with the flag of the Crimean Tatar people.
The flag
the
of
Mejlis.
The Mejlis is the same as of the Crimean Tatar people.
So basically it means that they will ban the flag of the people, not only the organization. And if they try to use this flag during some manifestations, some actions, they will be called extremists, even if they are not Crimean Tatar people, for instance.
Yeah, and so this is obviously a very dangerous thing, isn't it? I mean, what Russia is trying to do here. So anyone then who has the Crimean flag potentially is
and not only the flag, any materials related to the Mejlis, anything else, or even any connection with the people who work there. Even this relationship may be considered as extremist.
I suppose one problem with going to the international community is that the international community at the moment is rather busy, we might say, has its hands full with other issues. And in fact, the Ukraine conflict in East Ukraine with separatist forces backed by Russia, I mean, even that is slowly, it appears, slipping down the agenda of the international community. Crimea, even further down, it would seem. In fact, it almost seems like many countries have simply come to accept that Crimea is now part of Russia, and it will not be returned to Ukraine. Do you think that's the case? Do you see really in reality that somehow Crimea will actually return to Ukraine one day?
Well, I'm not sure about the international community, but I am pretty sure that the Ukrainian government will not stop working on it, because it's very important for the people, it's very important for the government, and it's the task for the government to remind to the international community that it should be done. It should be changed, because the annexation was not legal, and everyone knows that, except Russia. And it's a case which can be repeated. So I don't think that it's in the interests of the European community to leave this case in this situation like this.
Okay, well, on that note, that's where we'll have to wrap up our conversation because we're out of time. But I'd like to thank you very much for coming in to speak with us.
Thank you very much, too.
You've been watching Viewpoint. I've been joined by human rights activist at the Center for Civil Liberties, Polina Brodyk. That's all we have time for today. Do join us again. Thanks for watching.